Hey guys, welcome back. This is Heather Help with the Inspired Entrepreneur podcast. Happy Wednesday. I just snuck into my husband's office and grabbed he has some roasted garlic Triscuits. They're really good. He usually has some weird cracked pepper, and I'm not into pepper, and some peanut butter M&Ms. He has some snacks on his desk all the time, and he tries to just entice me to come in and visit him, which it works. So he's at work right now, so I went in there and grabbed some snacks. So anyway, welcome back. On this channel, we talk about, or on this channel, podcast, wherever you're listening to, this is a podcast that I also put on YouTube. And now I'm experimenting with creating videos with this podcast or with the audio. So you may see some background images and videos and cool stuff just to make it more interesting on YouTube. But I do upload every morning on YouTube and hope you enjoy. But over on YouTube, you can leave messages and comments and feedback and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Podcast is such a weird animal. I love audio. I love like radio. I love that sort of stuff. But podcast platforms just lack that, two-way communication of something, right? Some kind of feedback. And so it's kind of weird. But anyway, here we are. Okay, so I wrote this book called The Inspired Entrepreneur. If you're not new here, you know all about it because I talk about it daily. This whole podcast is based off my book, The Inspired Entrepreneur. So it's 366 days of inspiration for the business owner. But I also talk about love and life and winning the lottery and all kinds of, manifesting everything, just having happiness and joy and stuff like that. So today is April 21st, and let's see what it is. It's very short, but it's really powerful. Excuse me. April 21st. Ask for even more than you have asked for already. Expand what is possible. Okay, so I read ahead last night to see what topics were coming up because I had a feeling something was going to be relevant to my life, my current life. And so this one, I read this and I thought, okay, then I'll be a billionaire. I've thought about being a billionaire like a couple of times, I think. So, lately I've been manifesting things just by having, just the simple thoughts and then they come in. Let me tell you something. The other day, a couple of weeks ago, let's say, it was a couple of weeks ago. So my father lives in Orlando. And I went and visited him a few years ago in the awful summer. So I live in the desert of Arizona currently. We are moving back to the ocean, back to the beach very soon in California. But so I'm used to a dry heat, like super, super, super crazy dry. Like open up your oven door when it's on. That's what it feels like when you open the door in the dead of summer, right? So in Florida, it's the opposite. It's like, I don't like humidity. So let's just put it at that. It's miserable for me. So last time I saw him in Florida, it was like July or August. It was the worst time ever to visit. And so I become miserable. But so the other, a couple of weeks ago, I thought to myself, because Florida comes up a lot because I talk to him a lot and I've got some friends in Florida and it comes up. It's a popular state. And so I thought to myself, just a random thought of like, if he ever invited me back, would I go? And I thought I would only go if he paid for it. I would only go back to Orlando if he paid for my trip, which he did last time. So he was very generous. But I haven't been in probably about 4 years, I think, 4 summers ago, or maybe 5 summers ago. And so I said that to myself. That was it. Left it alone. I don't care. It's Florida. I could care less about going. No offense to anyone who is like in love with Florida. Not for me. California is for me, and I know California is not for everyone. That's for sure. But so I found out yesterday that my husband won a whole trip to Orlando, Florida. He sent me an email on Friday and said, the email, I guess, said, he forwarded me an email and said, can you print these out for me? And I just didn't read, apparently. I thought he was entering a contest. And so I wrote back to him saying, no way, it's Florida. Florida sucks. And that was that. And so Monday morning comes, and he comes into my office and he's like, hey, because we actually talked about it right after that. And I'm like, I'm not going back to Florida. That's a horrible place, whatever. And that was it. And so I wasn't paying attention. And so Monday morning he comes in and he's like, hey, did you ever print out those papers? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, literally had no clue what the hell he's talking about. And he's like, the trip to Florida that I won. I'm like, what do you mean you won? Like, I had no idea that he won. I just didn't pay attention. And he's like, yeah, I won. I'm like, are you for real? Because I'm the skeptic here. And so I pull up the email and I see, I'm like, is this for real? He's like, yeah, it is for real. It's from like Visit Florida, Florida. And I'm reading through it and I'm looking at the papers and I'm downloading them. And I'm like, holy man, I think he won. I think he won a trip to SeaWorld in Orlando. And so I come back to him and I'm like, I told him what I just told you guys. A couple of weeks ago, I had this thought about Florida. I said, if I were to go back, it would have to be like a paid trip. My father would have to pay for it or whatever, because I would never go back. And there you go. So we're going to Florida. We're going to Orlando in like December, January, February, somewhere in there. We gave them a bunch of dates and they're going to get back to us, but it's legit. And it's like 4 nights. And a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like all the stuff that my father does in Orlando. Like, he's a Disney junkie, not like Mickey Mouse, type of Disney junkie, but like all of the stuff that you do in Disney. Like, he has all of the passes year round, resident passes for every single Disney thing. And like, he swims with the dolphins all the time. And that's one of the adventures that we've got is like the Discovery Cove and the Aquatica and swimming with the dolphins. And I'm like, I was just blown away. And that was just one of many things that was manifesting. This was Monday morning. I'm recording this Tuesday. So it was just an insane morning. I said yesterday's podcast that my head was spinning the day before. It was. I had to lay down by noon because of all the crazy manifestations that were happening. But that was the biggest one. I'm like, what the heck? The guy actually won. And I won a trip to Florida. It was so funny. Anyway, it's just amazing the simple things that you can just say or think that literally mean nothing to you that will manifest. And all these other things that we really, really want never show up because we want them so badly. You know what I mean? And we have so many beliefs around them and all the negativity around things that haven't manifested. But if you just completely don't care and just be happy with life how it is right now, things start coming in, because things have been like crazy in my life lately. Just really, really a shift in the past week. It's been incredible. So anyhow, so I said, okay, regarding this message for April 21st, then I'll be a billionaire. Matter of factly, right? Nonchalantly, just totally, okay, it makes sense in my world because in my imagination world, because I got really into yachts a few months ago, like really like big time yachts. I kept watching YouTube videos of yachts and they're really incredible. And, this whole thing of wanting to travel last year, of course I couldn't travel. We did. And looking back, I'm like, that seems kind of nutty that we went to a foreign country in the middle of a pandemic. Like, that seems weird now. Like, I don't know. Everything came out fine, but Seems kind of strange now, and I know people do it, but I know a lot of people that haven't barely left their house in the last year, so it's weird. But it was like one of those things that when you planned it, you think everything's going to be better by then, and then it wasn't. And you're like, well, okay. But so when we came back and then realized we wanted to stay in the country, like live in the country, because I was ready to bolt. I was looking for another country to live in. And so realizing, nah, I don't like that one. We wanted to go back to California at that point. But then I got into yachts because I'm like, oh, look at this enormous, like we're talking $300 million yacht. And just really loving that idea of just traveling on a yacht to different countries and then, sitting out in the sea, in the bay and the sea and looking at the beautiful scenery and not having to deal with flights and hotels and Airbnbs and that sort of thing. Like it just seemed like, oh, this is such an easy way to travel. $300 million. That's not a big deal. So I'm listening to these people talk about these yachts and I'm like, okay, well, $300 million, you would have to be a billionaire, obviously, right? So that's when it really started like hitting me that the lifestyle that I seem to want would probably require more money than I had been picturing. Whatever. But so yesterday when I saw this and I'm like, okay, I'll be a billionaire. It makes sense and then this morning's meditation and visualization, I was thinking of back to my idea of having a private jet. I really love that idea. And I've had that idea for a few years now. And traveling from where I live now to where we're going to live again, there's the little regional tiny airports nearby. Like there's an airport that's 2 miles from my house right now, a little mini one. And like I can just fly in there because otherwise Phoenix International Airport is, 70 miles away. It's kind of annoying. So, and then where we're living in Pismo, the nearest airport is, under 15 minutes away. So that sounds really nice. And we looked into jets, like a Learjet is what I would love because of how fast it can get you somewhere. An older one, you can buy one for $1 million. And I thought, oh, that's so cheap. That's so cheap. You know what I mean? Like get your mindset to that place of $1 million. That is such a great deal. That is like, a $300 million yacht it's up there. It's up there. But as a billionaire, it probably multi-billionaire, right? Not just $1 billion in the bank, because then you're spending a third. That's probably not, probably not the smartest, whatever. I'm not even going to judge that. But so anyway, ask for even more than you have asked for already. Expand what is possible. If you read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I know it's kind of aging now, but I started listening to the audiobook a few months ago. And the first chapter or so, he talks about this of ask for even more. I mean, tons of people say this, but I like hearing it from people who are in the business world. He is very different than typical business people. Like I remember listening to him say that he does the opposite of what most people do. And I'm like, that's exactly what I do. I do the opposite of what most people do. If they're doing this, I do the opposite because I just, not on purpose, but just from like, it sounds more logical to me. So yeah. So I liked hearing him say, dream even bigger, dream as big as you possibly can, because you're just opening up the abundance of the universe to deliver you what you want. Okay. So where are we? Oh, good. I've been seeing a lot of triple digits lately, and I just pulled up my my microphone, my whatever screen, and it said 1444. I've been seeing that constantly everywhere, just triple digits everywhere. And I also like double digits. I will look at a piece of paper or a receipt or something, and there's like double digits everywhere. I'll point them out to Roger, and he'll be like, Jesus. But triple digits, lots everywhere. Lots of numbers for everything, everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to let you go. Have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, guys, and I will be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.